Arsenal kicked off pre-season with a win against AC Milan, in which we got to see a lot of Arsenal's new players play. Now, the most predominant one was Martin Zubimendi, and while being early days, I think this game showed us a lot about his potential at this club and exactly how you can expect him to play in the future. But what did we learn? So let's get into it. Now, kicking off pre-season is finally a time where we get to see some of the players we've been speaking about for a very long time. People like Christian Norgard, Kepa, and even youngsters like Max Dowman were all players that were really prominent in this game and did great things, which is really good to see them at that level already in the first pre-season game. Now, as a team, Arsenal definitely controlled this game a lot. AC Milan really struggled to have many shots throughout most of the game and honestly were dominated throughout. And although we only won 1-0, trying to get that end product there is still going to be something we look at. I do think Martin Zubimendi was a real good controller of the team. Now, first of all, when mentioning Martin Zubimendi, I think it is relevant to point out that Arsenal kind of needed a profile like this within their team. The reason why I say that is because Zubimendi brings a calmness on the ball and the ability to get away from players and basically do anything in every given moment. What I mean by that, there's certain moments where he will do a risky pass, or sometimes he will pass it backwards, and there's also sometimes he will push up on the pitch, being able to be press resistant and get away with the ball, which is very key for Arsenal in this controlled approach which they are clearly aiming to have. Now, the first real point I want to mention about this game with Zubimendi is something that I noticed with his touches. Every single time he touches the ball in these central areas, you can see he opens his foot up and has a wide range of areas he can now pass it to. Every single time, whether this is on his right foot or his left foot, he always shifts the ball in a way that is open for the team where he can pass it in many ways, which I think does give Arsenal a lot more progression. Not only that, when he does this, you can really see how good he is at controlling tempo. We played against AC Milan in this game. For some reason, they played in a very low block, mid block system, which I guess is good to learn how good we can be against the teams we're most likely going to play. So Zubimendi was given a lot of space and not really pressed upon when he picked the ball up in these deeper areas. But something I really like about him is when the ball is received to him, he's sometimes really slow and he shifts the ball out wide if there's players close to him and calms it down. But like we mentioned before, that quickness in pass between the lines is there thoroughly. There's many times where he picks the ball up, opens his foot up, and instantly tries to shift the ball inside the channel. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it's maybe a bit too risky, but I like how he is able to really control the team and pass the ball in many areas. Something that I think also depicts that is the fact that he was able to pass the ball out to the left and out to the right equally. I definitely think there's more of a want to pass it off his right foot, so mostly into this right channel, but he can switch the ball through this left side as well. And I love how his control and his passes and how quick he is with them, always giving us options to run through. And I think when you watch this game, it is quite clear if Arsenal had more players that ran in behind, that would benefit someone like Zubimendi in this game. Now, not only on the ball do I think that was a very good thing, but the thing that I was probably the most impressed about in this game was the amount of responsibility we gave him and the fact we could rely on him. There is going to be moments which we'll get into, which maybe in certain games you don't want to, but I like the fact that we saw Odegaard in this more attacking position in the right half channel actually being that more attacking player. We also saw Rice push up to this left half space and be a much more prominent member within the front five. You can argue if that's maybe a good thing in the long term, but we could talk about where that can be adapted. But the thing that was really good about this is that Zubimendi can control the team and progress the ball equally by himself. I think some of the problems that Arsenal have been having with some of their older players was that they are a little bit more reactive than proactive. And whilst someone like Jorginho is, he doesn't really have that pace or the maybe difference in approach at this stage of his career to really give us a much more wider range of being able to go forward. Zubimendi, like we've mentioned before, has this sort of really great passing range where he can pass on either way and understands tempo, very much like Jorginho, but he also has that ability to step up. And there's a few times where he's got his complete control in this defensive areas. He's been given the full responsibility. He gets pressed and he's able to just go past that first challenge and then maybe pass the ball off or win a free kick. This is something that Arsenal have been missing. Not only gives us more control and more presence on the team, it makes teams not want to press Zubimendi as much as they probably would have wanted to press a Partey or Jorginho, someone that maybe can be susceptible to losing the ball if pressured very quickly. Zubimendi gives that control, and if you do go towards him, he will go past past you and then have an even bigger passing angle to go forward, which I do think will make Arsenal become a much more possession-based team than throughout last season, even though we are, but especially at the start of last season without Odegaard, we really didn't want to be sometimes, and I do think we will have the ball a lot and be very controlled in the game, which I think kind of explains why we're looking at the certain players we are in the market as well. And the last point really on his complete passing range is that when he gets into these final third areas where he's just outside the box, say with Pendy's teams in quite a lot, I actually do think he is a very effective player. Now, he's not someone that is going to shoot from these long range positions, maybe like some of the other midfielders that we had, but he is someone that has these nifty passes and is very quick with his action. Just having this sort of quick player with his passing, I think would really help someone like Odegaard when he pushes up into these right half channels. Odegaard is a player that isn't necessarily the quickest to always do an action, but when he is in the final third, he's very good at disguising a pass and he's very good at getting passes off in quite short notions, especially when he sees things a lot quicker than some other players. I think Zubimendi kind of has the same idea, and I think they're going to work off each other brilliantly. So I do really think that's an adaptation you can have. Amount of relief that he gives the team, Zubimendi giving us the ball a lot more, will help us pen teams in. So I do think it's something that can be adapted and can work very well. Now, I also do want to mention the defensive part of his game as well, because obviously it's a major thing. Now, Zubimendi in this game didn't get to show his complete defensive portrayal because obviously we had the ball a lot and we were very dominant, I felt like. There was certain moments where we gave the ball away in poor positions and then we got countered, Leao obviously being a big member of AC Milan. In this game, I think Zubimendi kind of showed how he would work as a lone six, especially when Arsenal had the ball. Maybe against smaller teams in the Premier League, this would be something we would go for. And what I mean by that is that Zubimendi clearly benefits on the players behind him, delaying. He is a quick player off the ball. Zubimendi isn't exactly slow, but he's not exactly the quickest and most powerful player in an action when he's just come from a run. So there was a few moments where I saw AC Milan breaking, and our centre-backs, I think when Saliba was on, he did it, and a few other defenders as well, that really stopped AC Milan progressing through the team and just kind of delaying the counter-attack, which is something that we've obviously done quite a lot over the last couple of years. Now, this helps Zubimendi get back, and he's also a very good delayer. Not someone that is going to crunch into a tackle all the time. He will do if you get too close, but he is someone that will just wait. And when you've got recovery runs on people like Odegaard, people like Rice, some of the wingers, it does really help. I do think in bigger games with teams that have more of a confidence to attack, more players that are quicker going forward, you would probably want maybe a double pivot to sort this out. You would probably want Rice to be a little bit deeper to start so you can help Zubimendi in this way. But I don't think Zubimendi is going to be a player that really has these problems. Maybe that sometimes Jorginho did. Obviously that big one with Jorginho is when we played against Tottenham and he kind of gave the ball away and we conceded. I think when Zubimendi's in these positions, he's very good at assessing danger, letting people get close to him, and then as soon as they might win the ball back, he just about does enough to keep it. So I think that won't be a big enough issue, but if players around him do it, then obviously we've got to have that recovery time there, which is very important. Now, I actually like this game overall because I think it really got to show someone like Zubimendi's talent and skills and kind of why he's put in the team. If you look at some of his stats, he made 31 out of 35 passes in the half that he played, 2 chances created, but he had 11 passes into the final third, 2 out of 2 accurate long balls, while only ever having 1 touch in the opposition box. So yet again, that deeper passer that we have been missing. And defensive-wise, he still had a good enough level. 1 interception, 1 clearance, 1 out of 2 tackles, 4 defensive actions, 1 recovery, which I think showed to everyone that he is this good defensive player, but he's more smart than physical. And I think sometimes you might need a Rice in big games, but Milan didn't really do a lot, which I actually think played into our hands a lot. And I think showing the fact he went into not many duels is also another thing about that. He is not someone that is going to get into a huge amount of duels. That is kind of the job of the players around him. He's that controlled possession-based player that will help us get the ball and be more dominant, which is what we brought him in. Now, this debut was very impressive, I think, and I do want to say quickly that I think some of the players that we are linked to would work brilliantly well. When I talk about Rice being this sort of left half channel, I'm not necessarily sure if I still like him in a left 8 when Arsenal are hugely dominant. He can make runs in behind and he's good at getting into the box as a box crusher, but I also think Arsenal in certain games will need something different. Rice may be deeper, or arguably we just need a different sort of left centre mid profile out there. This is why a wing fielder I think would really help. Also, people are critical on this left hand side of Martinelli, but I think someone like Eze would be brilliant in that role. He can demand the ball in these tight areas, get out of danger, it, unlike Rice can, and get shots and create away, which gives Zubimendi a little bit more of idea of where to pass it, because he doesn't have to keep going to this right hand side to give it to Odegaard, who is our barely only creator outside the box. So that is just something to think about where I like Eze. And also, like we are saying, he does these risky through balls on the floor through the channels. If you can sort of bait teams in and do that as well, I think it'd be very important to have a Gyökeres in there so he can keep running in behind, stretch teams out, make the gaps bigger, and make Zubimendi push up, which I think makes a lot of sense of what I've seen with Zubimendi in this game. Now, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for any more Arsenal content. I'm going to be doing a video about another player after this, so please go and watch that as well. And obviously, this is the start of pre-season, so thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.